You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
See? When he was just getting his foot in the music industry's door, a 13-year-old Usher spent a year living with Combs. Usher opened up about this experience in a 2016 interview with Howard Stern.
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
Although he made it sound like a blast, Usher hinted at something more disturbing beneath the surface. Usher said that he didn't, quote, understand what he was even looking at, and, quote, very curious things were taking place.
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
Perhaps most telling, Usher made it clear that he wouldn't want his children attending, quote, Puffy camp like their father.
I was thinking to myself the other day, Uptown Records started with 5 people. Kim is dead.
Yeah.
Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died. And they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. Want to know what they all had in common, though? Survivors in the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him? Little Christopher, and she only had 1 child with Christopher. The other children who required taking care of and feeding and all of them couldn't be fed off of Christopher Wallace's money. They weren't his kids. See how that works?
Moved to New York City. And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In
to...
the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
a living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute, and his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there
You ever been to a P. Diddy party?
Yeah, several, many, honestly.
And so, can you take us through, like, what goes on, like, when you were there?
Money
Right.
and sex.
Were you surprised that there were so many cameras in his houses?
No.
So let me ask you, when you hear that Cassie was told to hire male escorts to come in what they call freak-offs now,
Yeah.
is that something normal that happens in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Freak-offs.
Hey, everybody know that. I've been saying it.
So why does Puffy, why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time. Like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup? Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and fucking took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
The walls seem to be closing in. The situation surrounding Diddy just escalated dramatically, bringing a controversial past back into the spotlight with unexpected force. You won't believe the level of intensity right now. In the midst of an unprecedented legal storm, Sean Diddy Combs finds himself at the center of a global firestorm. The once unassailable mogul is now facing a barrage of serious accusations leading to intense scrutiny from law enforcement, the public, and the media. His legal battles are not just headlines. They represent a profound crisis that touches upon the very foundations of his empire and reputation. The charges he faces, which include grave allegations of racketeering and sex trafficking, paint a stark picture that is a world away from the glamorous image he cultivated for decades. These are not minor issues. They are felonies that carry significant prison sentences if proven true. The ongoing investigations by federal authorities underscore the seriousness with which these matters are being pursued. Every legal maneuver.
As we was in Toluca Lake,
Yeah.
and he was going around to every window trying to get in and everything else. So the next day when they got together, they went into the room and I heard some tussling and stuff like that. I didn't actually see what was going on, see what was happening. And then it was another time that I explained earlier that we were at the Beverly Hills Hotel. What type of argument they got into, I don't know. But he said, yo, get out the car, Barnes. And I got out the car. And next thing,
every court filing and every public statement related to the case is analyzed and dissected, amplifying the pressure on Diddy and his legal team. The sheer weight of the allegations has created a sense of disbelief and shock for many who followed his career. The legal process is a formidable challenge in itself. Investigations of this magnitude often involve extensive evidence gathering, including financial records, electronic communications, witness interviews, and potentially physical evidence. The prosecution is tasked with building a compelling case to present to a grand jury for indictment, and if it proceeds, to a trial jury. The defense's role is equally critical, involving thorough investigation, challenging the prosecution's evidence, preparing witnesses, and developing a strategy to defend against the charges. This is a costly and time-consuming endeavor, demanding immense resources and legal expertise. The court hearings, even procedural ones, are moments of intense focus, with legal teams presenting arguments and judges making.
she knew that if she at least fought back, that it was a chance that she could leave a mark on him. And if she left a mark on him, he had a lot of explaining to do of what that mark was about. So by her saying that, it would check him and put him back into his place like, yeah, I can't do that to her, you know?
Now, wasn't there a story that Kim had cut the inside of Puffy's arm, or there's an artery that was bleeding or something like that?
Yeah, that's
critical decisions that shape the trajectory of the case. The level of detail and complexity in such high-stakes litigation is immense, requiring mastery of legal statutes, rules of evidence, and courtroom procedure. The pressure on everyone involved, from the defendant to the legal counsel, is immense, knowing that the outcome will have far-reaching consequences. The public's access to information about the case is filtered through court documents and media reports, adding another layer to the narrative as people try to make sense of the complex legal and human drama unfolding. Adding to the swirling public conversation are past statements made by individuals who were once part of Diddy's inner circle or social scene. Among these is the acclaimed artist Usher, who years ago spoke publicly about his experiences around Diddy's environment in interviews, including a notable one with Vlad TV that has resurfaced amid the current crisis. Usher described being sent to stay with Diddy as a young artist, expecting a professional mentorship experience. Instead, he recounted
one time when we went to Kim's house and Puff was banging on the door, banging on the door, banging on the door. The rumors were that she was inside with a guy. And he was like, yo, we not leaving here. We not leaving here until I get in this house. And I was like, yo, it's 12 o'clock at night, Puff. What are we doing? He was like, yo, she's in the house. She's in the house. So about 1:30, 2 o'clock, I looked at him and said, yo, we going to get locked up sitting outside.
Witnessing very unusual things and feeling a sense of discomfort that led his mother to eventually remove him from that environment. Usher's commentary from that time provided a glimpse into a world that he found unsettling, hinting at activities or a lifestyle that were not what he or his family anticipated. These past statements, while not constituting new evidence presented in the current legal cases, are relevant to the ongoing public discussion about the nature of Diddy's past parties and the environment he cultivated. They contribute to the broader context surrounding the current serious allegations and provide historical perspective from someone who was present in that orbit during a particular period. However, it is essential to address a specific circulating claim directly and responsibly. Despite rumors, speculation, or sensationalized online content suggesting that Usher has recently shown evidence of freak-off videos that have caused Diddy to be in a total crisis because of this specific action by Usher, there is no credible information from established news organizations.
I'm basically rather new, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't step into the situation, but the situation also didn't escalate to stomping out or beating up. It was basically an argument that turned into a smack, and then they went upstairs.
So he smacked her in the face?
Yes.
Open hand?
It wasn't closed hand. Yeah, it was open hand.
Okay, how did she react when she got smacked?
Nah, she was a very timid, and she worked for Sean John. So being that she worked there, it was
legal reporters or official court documents to support this. While discussions around freak-offs and the nature of Diddy's parties have been part of public commentary and some civil allegations against him, the claim that Usher has currently presented specific video evidence of such events that is the cause of Diddy's total crisis in court is not substantiated by any verified reports. Diddy's current crisis stems from the serious federal charges and multiple civil lawsuits he is facing, which are based on extensive investigations and legal processes, not from a recent act by Usher presenting specific video evidence in court. While Usher's past comments about his experiences are part of the public record and contribute to the surrounding narrative, they are distinct from the unverified claim of him currently providing specific video evidence that triggered a crisis in court. It is vital to rely on verified news sources and official court information when trying to understand the true nature of the legal situation. The absence of any credible reporting on such a significant event,
but so much she could do. And they was together for quite a while.
Now, this was the first situation that you knew about between Kim Porter and Diddy, but it was not the last.
Right. It wasn't the last.
How many fights did you see, physical fights, did you see between Kim Porter and Puffy?
I seen 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the first one?
That was the first one.
Name me the other 2.
The other 2 was
celebrity presenting damning video evidence in a high-profile case, causing the defendant to collapse or enter a total crisis because of that specific evidence presentation, strongly indicates that this particular scenario has not occurred. The total crisis Diddy is experiencing is multifaceted and deeply rooted in the serious criminal charges and numerous civil lawsuits that have been filed against him by various accusers. These legal actions collectively present a formidable challenge. The civil lawsuits detail a range of disturbing allegations, including sexual assault, abuse, and illegal activities, often painting a picture of a pattern of behavior spanning many years. While the burden of proof is different in civil cases compared to criminal cases, these lawsuits nonetheless bring forward accusations that are intensely damaging to Diddy's reputation and carry significant financial implications. The sheer number of accusers and the consistency of some of the themes in their allegations add to the severity of the situation. Each lawsuit represents an individual
Okay, well, like I said, this happened in 2005. You had been with Diddy for 2 years at this point. Leading up to this, had you seen any sort of violent altercations from Diddy?
I seen him get into arguments. I seen one altercation. It was a young lady, I believe her name was Erica.
Okay.
And that was his girlfriend at the time. I seen them get into one big fight. At this time,
coming forward with their own story and claims, contributing to the overall legal pressure Diddy is under. His legal team is tasked with responding to each of these civil complaints, filing motions, and potentially engaging in settlement negotiations or preparing for civil trials. The public filing of these lawsuits also makes the detailed allegations part of the public record, further intensifying media and public scrutiny. The legal strategy involves addressing each claim individually, while also managing the collective impact of multiple legal battles simultaneously. The impact of this crisis extends far beyond the courtrooms. Diddy's vast business empire, encompassing music, fashion, television, and more, has been significantly affected. Business partnerships have been reviewed or terminated, and the value of his brand has undoubtedly been damaged. The financial implications of legal fees, potential settlements, or judgments, in addition to the disruption to his businesses, are enormous. His carefully constructed public image, built over
what did the government say about that more specifically?
So it was a defense motion, and so the judge granted it, but absent the door opening. So if someone opens the door, they can go ahead and talk about it.
Because the defense said it was so unfair to bring in all of this other stuff to prove the federal crimes. I mean, you're talking, they actually objected and said they would have to do all of this research. They'd have to, it'd be like a mini trial within a trial. It's overly prejudicial. So what, in terms of, when you say open the door, you mean if the defense does something or Combs takes the stand, then they might be able to introduce it? What else did we learn?
So yeah, in a previous filing, the government said that at this time, the government does not currently intend to offer evidence of redacted unless the defense opens the door to these types of topics at trial. So for example, if the defense were able to or argue through opening statements or cross-examination that the defendant has never engaged in acts of violence, has never engaged in obstruction, or has never possessed a gun, then the government may...
Decades as a successful entrepreneur and cultural icon has been severely tarnished by the allegations. The crisis has also had a profound effect on his relationships, both personal and professional. Associates, employees, and collaborators are all navigating the fallout from the scandal. The music industry, in which Diddy has been a major force for so long, is also grappling with the implications of these events. His legacy, once seemingly assured, is now under a cloud of controversy. The reputational damage alone is immense, making a return to his former standing incredibly difficult. Regardless of the legal outcomes, the financial and reputational aspects of this crisis are inextricably linked to the legal battles, creating a complex and challenging situation on multiple fronts. The public's reaction to the unfolding events has been a mix of shock, anger, disbelief, and sometimes, unfortunately, the spread of unverified information. The seriousness of the allegations has prompted widespread discussion about issues of power, exploitation, and account.
His filings that, quote, the evidence in this case will show, for example, that Combs financially supported his girlfriends. That does not count as coercion under the legal definition, but it would count under Hughes' definition. Suppose the evidence shows that after a fight, Combs apologized, expressed love, and bought his girlfriend a gift. That would not count as coercion under the legal definition, but it would count under Hughes' definition. And then Combs further argues that while Hughes provides a concrete definition of coercive control, in one of the articles she apparently cites, it's explained that coercive control is really undefined. And other sources don't help her either with her definition. So in other words, the defense says if she starts talking about coercive control, it's going to confuse the jury. There's a definition, the legal definition, he's charged with crimes like this, and her definition of it. So I think I laid it all out. Elizabeth, what was the discussion on Dr. Dawn Hughes, coercive control, interpersonal violence?
accountability. Particularly within the entertainment industry, social media has served as a platform for intense debate, with opinions polarized and rumors often amplified. It's a challenging environment to navigate for anyone trying to understand the situation based on verified facts. The constant flow of information, claims, and speculation online can make it difficult to discern truth from fiction. The public's fascination with the private lives and alleged misconduct of celebrities often drives this intense interest. But it also highlights the responsibility of media and individuals to report and share information accurately. The conversation online has brought to light past interviews like the one with Usher, recontextualizing them within the current crisis, and adding layers to the public perception of Diddy's history. This highlights how past statements and behaviors, even if not directly part of current legal evidence, can become highly relevant in the court of public opinion when serious allegations surface. Regarding Usher's past statements specifically, his accounts from years ago,
the government expects that Dr. Hughes will testify about coercive control as a tactic of victimization, i.e. the state or process of becoming a victim, and a strategy to gain dominance across a spectrum of relationships. Coercive control, they say, often includes a variety of physical, sexual, and/or emotional tactics that together function to control the victim, such as actual or threatened physical violence, aggression, sexual assault and abuse, sexual degradation, financial and economic control, control over reproductive health, control through the use of drugs or alcohol. This almost mirrors a lot of the allegations from the indictment. And in another recent filing, the prosecution said, quote, Dr. Hughes is expected to testify that interpersonal violence is violence or abuse committed between individuals, including rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, or intimate partner violence, among others, and also refers to dynamics related to coercion and emotional abuse that may not necessarily involve physical violence as commonly understood. Dr. Hughes will not purport to explain.
Described a general feeling of unease and witnessing unusual things during his time in Diddy's environment as a teenager. These were not presented at the time, or reportedly now, as specific, verifiable evidence of the types of freak-off videos that have been the subject of some online discussion and civil allegations from other parties. Usher's comments were more about the atmosphere and his personal discomfort, while his perspective provides valuable insight into the environment surrounding Diddy at that time and adds weight to the concerns raised by current allegations. It is crucial not to misrepresent his past statements as him currently presenting specific damning video evidence in a way that triggered Diddy's crisis. The crisis Diddy faces is a result of official investigations, indictments, and multiple lawsuits brought by various individuals, not a single recent act by Usher. The conflation of Usher's past commentary with unverified claims about him currently leaking specific video evidence is an example of how narratives can become distorted.
The jury will see this. Whether or not a jury can believe that equates to sex trafficking or just, alleged assault is two different things, and I guess we'll see once trial comes.
It's a really important piece of evidence. Okay, so now I want to get into expert testimony, and this is important, and I'm going to lay this out again, and then we'll talk about it. So the next part that came up was about the testimony of prosecution witness Dr. Dawn Hughes. We've discussed her before. She is a clinical and forensic psychologist who actually testified, by the way, in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. The defense objected to her testimony. In fact, here's how the prosecution described what her anticipated testimony would be like, and this is from a recent filing. The following includes the anticipated opinions the government expects Dr. Hughes will offer regarding sexual abuse and victim responses to sexual abuse, coercive control, coping strategies during and in relation to sexual abuse, delayed disclosure and memory of sexual abuse, all important to understand maybe why the alleged victims did or did not do what they did in this case. And it went on to say that the government
in the public sphere, particularly during high-profile scandals, the legal defense team representing Diddy is tasked with a monumental challenge. They must navigate multiple legal fronts simultaneously, each with its own set of allegations, evidence, and legal procedures. Their work involves reviewing vast amounts of documentation, interviewing potential witnesses, engaging with prosecutors and civil plaintiffs' attorneys, and preparing for potential court appearances, hearings, and trials. Developing a robust defense strategy requires a deep understanding of the specific charges and allegations, as well as the relevant laws and legal precedents. They must also consider the intense public and media scrutiny surrounding the case and its potential impact on legal proceedings such as jury selection if a trial occurs. The legal battle is not just about the evidence, it's also about legal arguments, procedural challenges, and ensuring that Diddy's rights are protected throughout the process. The resources required for a defense of this magnitude are substantial.
Video to be played, so we are going to see it. And just even taking a step back, there were a lot of moments throughout our coverage of this entire legal saga, from Cassie first filing her lawsuit, it was settled, but there were two moments outside of Diddy's arrest that were humongous in this case. One being his homes being raided by the feds, and then also when this video came out. This video is huge. A lot of people have seen this video, and the prosecution, the government has long said that this piece of evidence, the video, is critical to their case. Obviously, they want to use it. Remember just how everyone's speaking of this video, or even just of Diddy's legal battles. They were, just women want to take him down, women want to take him down. And then everyone kind of just flipped their opinions once this video came out. And so the video will be admitted into evidence. And it was interesting, the government's kind of response to this, which obviously they wanted this video in, but they do have a video expert who adjusted some of the video. The government expert was able to slow it down because when we...
Reflecting the complexity and seriousness of the case, every decision made by the defense team is critical and could have a significant bearing on the outcome. The allegations against Diddy and the broader discussions they have sparked highlight ongoing issues within the entertainment industry regarding power dynamics, accountability for misconduct, and the protection of vulnerable individuals. The courage of those who have come forward with their stories, both in civil lawsuits and in public statements, is a significant factor in bringing these issues to the forefront. Their willingness to speak out, often at great personal and professional risk, is a testament to the seriousness of their claims. While the legal process will ultimately determine the veracity of the specific charges and allegations in court, the public conversation initiated by these events is already having a profound impact on the industry and raising awareness about the importance of creating safer and more ethical environments. The entertainment world, like many other industries, is undergoing a period of reckoning regarding past behaviors and the need for greater...
You saw it on CNN, it was sped up. I don't think anybody, you don't need a degree in video production to know that that video wasn't in real time, or at a normal speed, I should say. But the expert has also lifted the cell phone video as well too, and kind of were able to correct it. So the video will play in a normal speed. It won't be the same video that we had all saw blasted on CNN. And as far as what the judge has said, he had pretty much ruled the remaining footage will be used with witness testimony, or actually this was what the government was saying, that the remaining footage will be used with witness testimony who can say that the video is accurate. And to the government's point, and what you had just read in their letter to the judge, they say the video is accurate. Diddy came out with that apology video where he had apologized for his actions because of the swift backlash that he was receiving after this video was made public. And the judge also said that the probative value was not substantially outweighed. And so, how a jury will actually react to seeing the video in a normal speed, it'll be up to...
Transparency and accountability. In summary, Sean Diddy Combs is indeed facing a profound crisis due to serious federal charges and numerous civil lawsuits. This crisis is the result of extensive investigations and legal processes. While individuals like Usher have made public statements in the past about their experiences around Diddy's environment, and these statements contribute to the broader public narrative and scrutiny surrounding Diddy, there is no credible evidence to support the specific claim that Usher has recently shown evidence of Fr3ak videos that are the direct cause of Diddy's current crisis in court. The situation is complex, with multiple legal battles unfolding and intense public and media attention. It is a developing story with significant implications. To stay up to date with the verified facts and the latest developments in this incredibly important and ongoing situation, you need to be tuned in. Sure, you subscribe to my channel right now and hit that notification bell so you won't miss a single update as this complex story unfolds.
Sure he get in the party. Then it was times that we went away and I would always have the adjoining room to his room. But it was times where the assistant would be like, yo, your room is up the hall. I'd be like, yo, my room. And then I might see the same guy got the adjoining room. So I'd be like, oh, okay. I'd be like, yo, he'd be like, yo, I don't know what's going on, man, but that's his room. And then I put two and two together, like that's the adjoining room, so the person don't got to come outside no more. And these went on quite often. What we don't know about him saying, this, that, and the other, but I know for sure that those guys, because then he would hit me if they had a party that night, and he would be like, Barnes, you remember such and such? See, what? And it was one guy specifically, he would say it was a guy named Michael from Miami. And I knew this guy, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know what role he played in nothing. But Puff would always ask me, yo, can you make sure he get in the party? He ain't got to be in the section, but just make me. So I'm going to stay on the elevator. And I stay on the elevator, and the elevator stop on Puff floor.
Huh.
And I'd be like, okay. And then I wouldn't let the door close because this person is oblivious to who I am. So he would just walk straight to Puff door, and I'll just be watching, and I'll see him knock on the door, and then I'll see him go in. In my mind, at this particular time, I'm so happy I got the day off. I'm not thinking about I said, well, they some freaks. That's all. I don't, you know, like, yo, you got the weekend off. Yo, you got the day off. I'll be like, all right. So you know how you get to the hotel. I'm going to eat some fruit, you know. He's like, yo, what you still here for? You got to leave. So I'm like, yo, why you rushing me, yo? So, you know, I'm going to be nosy now. So when I get by the elevator, I done took so much time to come down that when I'm coming down the elevator, I might see a Rico Suave getting on the elevator. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, he don't know me, but he also had a camera bag. So this camera bag was, if you remember back in the days, people still have them now, the little camera that you just put right there and you can hold, and they come with the little cassette tapes. So he had an assistant, and the assistant job was to keep this camera. I don't care, no matter where you go, don't put this camera bag down. And I specifically remember one time his assistant named Tommy had lost one of the cassettes. And Puff was getting frantic, like, yo, where is this cassette at? And everything that she said made sense because this was their personal videographer camera that they would use whenever they went to the hotels and everything. And it was the assistant job to keep it, to make sure you watched it, make sure you don't put this bag down nowhere. So I definitely agree, as well as there's times when they went to the hotel. And, you know, me being the nosy person that I am,